So I decided that I would do some simple flowers today. I see a lot of people commenting that they don't want to spend a lot of time blending and thinking about colors and color schemes. They just want to keep it simple. But they still have a hard time picking colors. Flowers can be any color. There's no hard, fast rules. When you look at flowers, no two flowers are alike. The colors vary even on the same plant. So don't think too hard about it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just pick a color or a couple colors that you like and see what happens. I like to test my colors out on a plain piece of paper first, but sometimes I just go for it. So I thought I would do two very simple flowers that will still make the flower look good and the page pop without putting too much thought into it. The first one is this little blue flower. I don't know why, but when I look at these flowers in Johanna's books, by the way, this is Johanna Basford's 2023 calendar. But when I look at these little flowers, I think of carnations, the buds of carnations. Whether that's what it is or not, I have no idea. But either way, it's a very simple way to get this blue. It's two colors. Literally, I am using 1073, which is the cloud blue. And all I'm doing is I'm going in here and I'm filling this in just really quick because you're going to go back over this. So you just want to give it a quick light coating just to put color on the paper. I like to use small circles. I'm not too concerned about getting every little bit of coverage there of the white paper. But you see how fast I did that. Now I'm going to come in with number 903, which is true blue. And I'm just going to go around my edge real light. Not a heavy, but not super light. Just enough to make that edge stand out. So you can see I'm just kind of covering up that black line with this darker blue. I'm not even trying to be fancy. I just want this flower to stand out just a little bit with some color. You can go ahead and kind of start those lines just by putting a little bit of blue on that line there, because you're going to pull this color in. Now for that center, you can do a dark blue, or you can do a yellow, you could do an orange. I'm just going to keep it the blue because it makes it seem like the flower is going to open up, and that's what color is inside. So now I'm going to come back with the original color, 1073, and I'm just going to grab that darker blue from the edge, and I'm going to do small circles, pulling it down. And I'm applying a little bit more pressure because I want to mix those two colors together. So as you can see, it's still got that bold outer line. So you can still see that blue, that darker blue color with the lighter blue. Now I've also done this with pinks, a light pink color. It works really good. You don't have to put a lot of energy or a lot of effort into it. And there's not a lot of blending involved. All you're doing is two basic colors when they come together like that. And you got your flower. That's it. That's all there is to it. For these little stems on the edges here, all I did was color 1090 kelp green. And I applied a little bit of heavy color to the base. And I just lightly pulled some color up. Not a whole lot, just lighter as I get to the top. And then I took my next color, which is, I believe this is the lime green. My pen's kind of covering it up there. And I just went right over it with the lime green. And some small circles pulling that darker color up, and it fades out to the top. That's it. Just two colors. Nothing overly complicated. So for those of you who like to keep it really simple, there's so much you can do with very minimal colors. You don't have to go to the extreme and, use multiple colors or more than 2 or more than 3. It's all about what you like, not about what other people like. So don't ever get discouraged or compare your art or your pages to those who are more advanced or more extreme. Do what you like and what makes you comfortable and what makes you happy. Because in the end, that's all that really matters, right? So moving on, this little flower here in the center. This one I did a couple more colors. But again, it's really easy. It's not overcomplicated. You don't have to overthink it. So all I did was went from a dark to a light tip. Because you know how when you look at a flower and you look down inside the flower, the petals tend to be a little bit darker towards the center of the flower. And sometimes there's a two-tone to it. As the flowers age, they fade out or they turn to a brown or a yellow. So what I did here is I did a pink and a yellow, and this is color number 930. So I went right into the flower and I just went right at the base, and I did do a little bit of a heavier color right at the base, not a whole lot, but I went around each petal. And that is also the key here, consistency. If you want everything to look the same, do it all the same. So I like to go around with my color all at once to where I'm going to apply each color. Then I'm not forgetting, what did I put there? So you can see I got a little heavier there. The reason I chose to go heavy is because I'm going to pull that color forward. So now the next color I'm going to grab is my 916, which is my yellow. Oh, excuse me, I think that's 915. I can't see, so you have to forgive me for that. Yep, 915. Boy, I'm getting old. So anyways, I'm coming in here with my yellow, and I'm going to go right over that pink. And I'm going to pull it about 3/4 of the way up, leaving some white on the paper, on the tips of those flowers. And you can see how that pink is going to fade out there, that red, whatever you want to call the color. It's like a pinkish red. And I'm doing small circles, and the reason for the circles is because that mixes the two colors. The circles are a great way to blend your colors. You're pulling them together. So as the pigments mix, you'll see the color changes a little bit. And you're just kind of moving in an upward motion to the edge of the petal, but you're still leaving that white edge. And there's a reason for that white edge, and I'll show you just a moment as soon as I get this done. But you can see how fast I went with these two colors. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not getting too involved. So the next color I'm going to use is the cream color, which is 914. So that cream color is going to go right at the edge. And here's where you can go right over the yellow and the pink with your cream color, pulling it upward. And that gives it just that little bit of a lighter edge. Although you can still see your yellow, you can still see your cream. And it kind of gives it almost a little bit of orange or a brightness to it. So I'm just going to go over each and every one. And just so you know, if you choose not to do the cream, you can just use white. Or you can just use the pink and yellow. You don't have to do more than 1 or 2 colors. So there's that right there. I think it looks pretty good. It's a little bit different from this one, and that is because in this one I used pink and just cream. I didn't put any yellow in there. So now I'm going to take my yellow again, and I'm just going to fill in this center. And I know that's a hard one for a lot of people, is doing those center colors. I just put what I like. So I did the yellow, and then I come and I take the darker orange. This one is the cadmium. So then I'm just going to put some dots right in the center of that. Just by dotting. That way it kind of looks like there's little flakes in there. So now for the petal, or excuse me, the leaves. This is 911. So again, with the dark color right down the center of this flower. And I'm going to follow that line up on the leaf. And I get lighter as I go towards the top of the leaf. So darker at the base because it's separating the petals. And then just pulling it up a little bit I don't want too much of that dark green at the top. And then again, I'm going to do the other leaf the same way. A little darker at the base, and then lighter as I go up. And that way, when I apply my second color, my second tone, to lighten it up, to make those tips stand out, it's still going to pull those two colors together. And so my next color is the spring green. You can see my fancy little magnifying glass on here. Now, I got a product review on these, which is a really cool thing. So if you're like me and you have a hard time seeing these small details, these are really great, but there is a drawback to them, and we'll get into that later. But anyway, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to apply this spring green, just pulling in that darker green by using small circles. That's all I'm doing. And I'm leaving that little bit on the tip again. But you don't have to. You can just use two colors. You can just use one solid color. It's all up to you. Sometimes I use one color and I just do darker and lighter of the one color. So the final color I'm going to use, of course, is the chartreuse. And that's just what's going on the tip here. And again, I'm using small circles. I'm just pulling the previous color up to the tip. And you can see where I put that dark green line in the center of the leaf, it's still there. You don't want to apply so much pressure that you rub that away. Even though I'm going right over it, you can. You just want to make sure that you don't get heavy-handed. That's why it's important to use light layers and small circles. And again, I'm going to do the final one, pulling up from the base to the tip to give it that faded effect. And that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. If you want your flowers to stand out just a little bit more, you can always come back in with your original dark color and kind of just put some little lines in there where the flower petal separates. And that just gives it a little bit of shadowing and kind of makes the petals stick out just a little bit more. But again, you don't have to do that. You don't have to make it so complicated that coloring becomes not fun for you. So I'll do one more and I'll make it this pink color, which is without the yellow in there, so that you guys can see how I did that pink one. So I'll go up here with that same color again, which is color 930. And I'm going to apply a little bit of a darker base here. And I'm just going to do each petal consistently the same like I did before. Not getting too fancy with it. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to take my cream color. And I'm going to come in here, pulling that forward to the tips. So there's your pink flower. Now you can use light pink instead of cream. You can use white. You can even use a darker base and a hot pink tip. You can just do all one color. It's really what you prefer, again. So you can see I'm just not even really thinking about it. I'm just making this really simple and easy, because I know that I can get overly complicated when I do some of mine. And I'm going to be doing some lilies here in the future, and those can be a little time consuming and complicated. But there you go. There's your pink flower with just two colors. So again, it's what you like. It's whether you want to be complicated or you want to take the time to apply more than one color. But you don't have to overthink it. It shouldn't be so complicated that you can't decide what you're going to do. If you're at that point and you're getting frustrated, I suggest you stay offline and stop looking at other people's work. Because I did notice that people compare themselves to others all the time. just remember, we all started with Crayola crayons. We didn't start out being rock stars when it came to colored pencil art. It takes time, and over time you develop skills, and those skills are remembered. Eventually, when you start using the same brand of pencils over and over and over, it becomes muscle memory. You know which colors to blend with what, you know what look you're going for. So just keep that in mind when choosing your mediums. You want to go with something that you can use on a regular basis, because that's going to be a really important part of your experience, is learning and knowing your colors and knowing what works well with each other. I have many different brands of pencils, but I tend to stick with one for a very long time, and then I may switch it up and go with another brand, but then I'll stick with that brand for a long time as well. And that's because it's too hard to remember everything you need to know. And every brand of pencil lays down differently. They blend differently. The color palettes are very different. So it's picking and choosing and finding what works for you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this short little video. I just wanted to put these out there in the wind so that those looking for something a little less dramatic and a little less complicated, there are ways to do it with just minimal colors. Anyways, enjoy your day, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.